Do you know that it is scientifically proven that whatever we focus on becomes our reality? Brain researchers have determined that the subconscious levels of our brains have no filter. They cannot distinguish between imagination and reality. Therefore, everything is believed to be true. Consequently, if we continuously fixate on what we don't desire, if we feed our mind with worry thoughts about what we are scared may happen, sadly, we're delivering all the wrong information into our heads without even realizing it. And our brain believes it to be true. Hence, this is what we're going to see in our life. You know, whatever we focus on becomes our reality. There is this part in our brains called the reticular activating system that makes you recognize things you're familiar with, like having a bad day. For example, your car breaks down in the morning and you need to catch a cab to go to work. You fall on the stairs going to the office. And then your laptop doesn't turn on the moment you need to make an important presentation. And somehow everything seems to be going wrong that day. But that is happening because you're focusing on all the wrong things. Somehow you're missing all the good things that are happening during that day, because there certainly are. Or having a good day, which is completely opposite. You see only green lights on your way to work. You get complimented all the time, you get an invite for a nice event, and you even get an unexpected financial bonus from your work, and somehow everything seems to be going right that day. Somehow you are driving on that positive wave and you are attracting more and more good things to happen to you, and you feel as if you're capable of anything. The truth is that we all have good and bad things happening in our lives, and whichever we choose to focus on will determine our perception of our life. If you're always focused on the bad and negative things in your life, you will start to believe that you have a bad and negative life. Have you ever known somebody who is always negative, who seems to complain all the time? They seem to keep a record of all the bad stuff, that they miss all the positive things that happen to them. And they believe that they have a horrible life. And that is because their reticular activating system was focused on the negative. And that's why they keep on seeing more of the negative stuff. It is all a matter of perception. If you focus on the good and positive things that happen to you, you're going to believe that you have a good and positive life. It is as simple as this. And I was introduced to this concept a few years ago when I watched The Secret and the What the Bleep Do We Know movies, but I didn't really live by it. In the past few years, I went through some really tough times and I was feeling really down, but I had to find a way to get back up. And I learned that our brain is not only part of the hardware of our bodies, but it is more of a software that we can change. We can rewrite the programs that are running in our brain, and realizing that our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions compose the code of our brain, the code that we have control of and that we can change. This insight is powerful. I know that it may sound crazy to some of you, but we are much more powerful than we think, and we have this ability to change our lives anytime we decide to. We are powerful creatures, and we should never ever forget that. We just need to learn to be more conscious. We should just learn to be more intentional with the way we live. We should not be drifting on an autopilot, letting things happen without controlling anything. When in reality we can. We can control almost anything that happens in our life if we learn to control our focus. The more things I find to be grateful for, to feel positive about, the more my life feels brighter and happier. And I start seeing more opportunities. And my relationships with others become even more pleasant. Everything seems to be changing for the better. The more I focus on the good stuff in my life, the better my life gets. I got to experience this a few times in my life, and I'm really trying to put my focus on the right things now, because I used to be pretty negative in the past myself. I used to be spiraling negative stuff in my head on repeat, and I couldn't really seem to get out of this cycle. And I had to learn to break it because I knew that that was not doing me any good. I knew that negative thoughts were only hindering me from succeeding. There is nothing good about focusing on the bad stuff. We should not ignore that it is there. We should acknowledge it is there. We should focus on it for a minute when we're trying to solve a problem, but we should not be focusing on all the problems every second of every day, because this is not helpful. We need to be focusing on finding the solutions to solve these problems. This is what successful people do. Successful people don't stay stuck at a problem for way too long. They see the problem, they analyze it, and they start looking for solutions because they know they're capable and they're focusing on the positive stuff. They're seeking the positive sides of the story because there always are positive sides of a story if you only look for them. Pay attention and look for all the good things in your life. You don't want to be cranky and negative all the time, do you? If you look for opportunities, you're going to find more opportunities. And if you're looking for excuses, you're going to find more excuses. Whatever you choose to focus on becomes your reality. Remember this. Most of us are used to notice first the bad sides of a situation whenever it happens. For example, when your partner breaks up with you, you tend to think, oh, I'm gonna be alone, I'm gonna be lonely, I'm not gonna have my travel buddy with me, I'm not gonna have anybody to share my life with, I won't have anybody to live with, and all these sad and negative things. But you don't seem to notice the positive sides of that story. Finally, you would have some time to take care of yourself. You can do whatever you like without having to cater for anybody else's wants and needs. You would have freedom. You could meet new people. You could dedicate more time for your hobbies and things like that. There are advantages of being single, but the thing is that you're not noticing these advantages the moment you have a breakup. But we can learn to shift our focus. We need to make it a habit to focus on the good things in life if we want to see more good in our world. I know that it can be challenging to find positive things sometimes, especially in difficult times. But we can always bring in some nice memories. We can always imagine what our life would be like in the next better stage of our lives. We can always think about the good things that we can achieve if we take the actions that we commit ourselves to. We can always find something to be grateful for. We can always find something good in our lives if we really look for it. If you can turn this into a habit, your life can change because your mindset will change and your brain will start looking for good things because this is what you're used to think about. This is what you get emotional about, and your brain will attract better things into your life. What you're focusing on is so powerful. Your brain builds around what it rests upon. So whether we choose to see the world through a lens that is sad, happy, optimistic, hopeless, or whether we decide to be open to love or close it down, it is all directed by our brain. What we pay attention to shapes our brain, and in turn, it shapes our experiences, our relationships, and our life. You have the control of your focus, and when you have the control of your focus, you have control over your life. You just need to take it back, darling. Take back your control. Learn to shift your focus. Whenever it gets into a negative mode, try to switch it back to a positive one. And the more you do it, the better you'll become at it, the better your reality will get. I know that it may be challenging to control your focus, but just think about it. Why would you focus on things that disempower you when you can focus on things that empower you? The things that you need to succeed are already within you, darling. You just need to learn to access them by asking the right type of questions. I'll give you an example. If you ask, can I do this? This creates a feeling of doubt. And this way, your brain won't get you the right access to the resources you need to do the things that you're trying to do. But if you instead ask, how can I do this? How can I achieve that? Then your brain will give you access to the resources that you need to do the thing you're trying to achieve. Because your brain delivers what you're asking about. Our brains are super powerful, but we tend to forget about it. If we learn to control our focus, if we learn to control our feelings, thoughts, emotions that we feed into our brain, then we can control our reality. Choose better. What are you focusing on? Because it impacts your life. If you struggle to believe in yourself, if you struggle to focus on you, if you keep on waiting to be ready to go after what you want, check out my other videos. I hope that they can be helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!